Good afternoon, students. I've had some wins and losses today. The wins was that I thought my camera had it. I was thinking of having to buy another camera reluctantly, but no. Just that the old battery had distorted and it was causing all kinds of problems within the camera. When you get the internal thing that it distorted, it pushes everything else away. So I was pleased to learn about that. And I also thought that my watchmaker had lost my watch, but it magically turned up after a little toing and froing. So that was good also. They tried to persuade me that the watch they were handing me was mine. And I might be old, but I'm not bonkers. I know my watch. They tried to give me a Coles watch, and mine's not one of those. Nothing wrong with a Coles watch when you're really desperate, but no. Okay, so today in our tarot we're going to look at one of my most favorite cards, this one. This is the Hermit. When the Hermit is described in the tarot, I really think that it's all about how I feel about myself. And I've been dealing with the Hermit for last year and then possibly this year as well. So, when we pull a card that needs attention, then for me it's this one. Magically, this one is ruled by Mars, and if you saw my astrological chart, you would just be stunned with the amount of times that Mars occurs on my chart. So there is another reason that I resonate with this card. Upright, it means that it's light at the end of the tunnel, which is good. New forces becoming apparent, but if you have reversed this card, loneliness and no light at the end of the tunnel for you, you need to do some work. I've got a lovely quote here that I remembered from the book called Walden by Henry David Thoreau. If you haven't read it yet, you should. He said, "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately." What a lovely word. "To front only the essential facts of life and see if I could not learn what they had to teach. And not when I came to die, discovered that I had not lived." How do you feel about that? Do you want to get to the end of your life and discover that really you've no clue what happened or why it happened or why you were here or what it all meant? Well, if you draw this card, it says it's a time for looking. Okay? The Hermit himself or herself is a symbol of intuition. The Hermit stands on top of the mountain, which indicates where he is in his life. He carries a light, which is his intuition, and leads us and himself or herself through the darkness. Remember what they say about a candle. If you light a candle for someone else, the candle that you have does not diminish. So you should be going around lighting candles for other people as often as you can. This person has great compassion for others. And the mountain usually means a pinnacle of attainment. But in this card, it's a special mountain because the mountain, also in the background, you can see the mountain I live with, Mount Macedon. There it is. I have depicted it with a cross on the top that I can see from my house. This is a person who shares his illumination and what he has learned with others, all the while committing to achieve the ultimate that he can in enlightenment. the mountain snow at his feet speaks of his stage of enlightenment. He's coming out of that coldness. His body is cloaked with the grey cloak of invisibility, which means that his secrets are not destined for everybody. Not everybody can understand him. A lot of people think he's nuts, you know. But what he has to say is reserved for the true seekers after God. The body is the vehicle and the soul directs the body. In this card, the swirling of the spirit is very evident. And neither the body nor the spirit nor the soul is holding him back. The staff, which is a symbol of unconscious wisdom, he bears in his left hand. It's a patriarch's staff and a symbol of the narrow path of initiation, as well as a symbol of power and authority. All the bishops have staffs. Power and authority. So when you draw this card, you know that you have achieved a new stage of maturity, and probably you are still searching for meaning, or still searching. A true seeker. The Hermit invites you into a phase of introspection and contemplation, consolidation even. Looking for the answers within without any distractions. Drawing this card assures you that this is a perfect time to step back from your life as you knew it and contemplate your motivations, your personal principles and values at the deepest level. The Buddha got to a certain point in his searching and seeking, and he said, I will sit, which by that he meant meditate. So he sat, and I will either find the meaning of life or I will die. I don't mind either one. So like the Buddha, you desire a new direction in your life, and as a result have begun a journey of self-discovery and contemplation. You can do this by dedicating yourself to a program of meditation. Through that process, you may reevaluate your personal goals and decide that you want some big changes to take place. Because you're looking at your life from a more spiritual perspective, your priorities will begin to shift. Know that although you treat others with kindness and compassion, they will not always hang about. They drift on. They don't hang around. You think they're friends and they're friendly, but no, they don't remain permanently with you. You've got to a stage in your life where you don't need to tell others what they should do. And it may be that a guide or a mentor will show up for you, because you probably need one to get to the next stage of your development. If you pull a reversed card, I'm sorry to say that this is indicating loneliness, but because of your actions, not because of anything else really. A reversed hermit is a person who doesn't notice anybody else in need at all. It's just me all the way. This offhand, negative, selfish disposition alienates him from others, and he becomes a loner and lonely because of this, usually not from anything else. On this path, at this time, it's a good time to tidy up loose ends, reevaluate your life, look at your job and see what it is that you're doing. See if you can contribute to the world in a voluntary capacity anyway. And wait for the next phase. Nothing much else to do. You've got a lot of work to do cleaning up things. Starting to look at other people and saying, how can I help you? I was in a car with a person that may have become a client but didn't, and we were driving down a local road, and there was this little dog kind of sitting beside the road, and this person who was driving me to the shops immediately took a side road. And I said, why did you do that? And he said, because of the dog. I said, the dog was okay, we could have done something. He said, yeah, that's what I was worried about. If we picked the dog up, it would slow us down and we would have had to do this and we would have to do that. No, not a good idea to pick the dog up. That's a perfect reversed hermit. Someone who doesn't want any interruptions, wants what they want, and doesn't see that there's a need to be met here. When I kind of indicated we should go back and do something about the dog, when we went back the dog was not there, but it was a very, very good indication of the person's state of mind. So when you are meditating on this card in your journal, it's a very important card and causes you to think about what are your motivations, what are you feeling on every level, which mountains are there for you to climb, what is your support, what are you leaning on, what is your next step, what is your inner knowing. Talking about that leaning on, I was doing a seminar, it wasn't that bad, probably about 18 months, 2 years ago, and partway through this talk I was giving, a homeless man walked onto the stage. It was easy to tell he was homeless, you know, he was just unbelievably dirty and covered in tattoos and had all kinds of things and dreadlocks, but it was, he looked uncared for and unloved. But he stood by the stage very respectfully and looked interested in what we were talking about, which was yoga. And when I indicated that we were going to be finished shortly, he said, well, can you wait a minute? And I said, sure. And he went out. We kept on with the seminar. We had about 10 minutes or 15 minutes to go. And when he came back, he said, I've got a gift for you. And he handed me a walking stick. And I said, I really don't need a walking stick. And he said, this is to remind you that you too will need support. It was a beautiful walking stick. I still have it. I will not give it up. And it collapses into something small that I can put in my luggage. But I just thought it was a very interesting thing to say to me because I often lose sight of that fact. And I try to be independent. That's not always the right way to go. If you can hear a funny noise in the background, it's the cat trying to dismantle the door. I don't like her in here because she is a distraction and it's hard for me to concentrate. But when she's outside trying to get in any possible way, it also is a distraction. She's not always like that. Anyway, this is the end of our number 9, the Hermit. Have a lovely afternoon. Namaste.